it's time to get underway with VG Gaming as MVP.
This week in game news, Gamescom happened, bringing announcements, trailers, and some awkward moments. Right now, the International's going on. That's a big Dota 2 tournament. This year they have an $18 million prize pool, and this week, we're giving away a Steam key for the Stanley Parable. All this and more. This is the Blackman and Robin game news updates. On Monday, Capcom released their latest Unveil trailer for a Street Fighter V character. This time, it's Vega, the Spanish ninja. You might remember that a couple weeks ago, Jamie Lee Curtis revealed that she had cosplayed as Vega during EVO, but back on topic, Vega looks really cool. Personally, though, I'm hoping that they unveil Elena soon. That is, if she's going to be in Street Fighter V. Regarding Gamescom, it's a pretty big deal in the gaming world. It's not quite as big as E3, though it is a lot like it. It takes place in Köln, Germany, and it's being held this year from August 4th through the 9th. A ton of great games have been announced. Microsoft kicked off the show on Tuesday with their press conference. They opened with Quantum Break, a shooter that combines time travel and a television show that links up with the game. It has a very interesting premise. Currently in development by Remedy, the studio behind Alan Wake, Quantum Break is set to be released on August 5th, 2016. The game is an Xbox One exclusive, and there's no word on if it'll ever be coming to Windows 10.
We do what we always
Do you remember Crackdown? It was the slightly absurd police game in which you were a superpowered cop. Well, Crackdown 3 is coming to the Xbox One, and apparently this game features completely destructible environments. This open-world crime-fighting game boasts co-op for up to 4 players, and we're not completely sure of when the full game is being released, but there was mention of multiplayer being available sometime during the summer of 2016. As you may have guessed, Crackdown 3 is an Xbox One exclusive. Remember Scalebound? You know, the game with dragons that was a big deal in E3 or 2 ago, but then fell off the face of the earth? Well, it's still in development by Platinum Games, and we got a cool new trailer for it. Hopefully, the finished game will have just as much personality as was shown off in the gameplay trailer. Fighting bad dudes with your pet dragon certainly looks just as cool as it sounds. The game almost looks like Platinum's take on Monster Hunter. It's loud, playful, and it's coming to the Xbox One during the 2016 holiday season. Also, you can transform into a Dragon Man. If that doesn't sell you on the game, I don't know what will. Besides games, they mentioned that the Xbox One's backward compatibility would bring over 100 Xbox 360 games to the system this November, alongside an update that brings Windows 10 to the system. This Windows 10 update will come with a new user interface, Cortana for Kinect users, and will allow universal Windows apps to run on the Xbox One, a rather interesting direction for the console. Microsoft has been taking the Windows 10 integration across their devices quite seriously. Here's hoping that they remember to do the maintenance and curation across their platforms that they have the funny tendency to fail to do. Remember the indie game marketplace on the Xbox 360 that slowly fell apart? Or the Kin? Nobody remembers the Kin. Killer Instinct Season 3 was announced for March 2016. The Xbox One fighting game has been going strong lately. They also announced that Rash, from Battletoads, would be joining the fight. He's now available in the game. On the subject of Battletoads, the Rare Replay was released for the Xbox One this week. It's a collection of games from Rare, including Battletoads, and it's got great reviews. If you've been looking to play some classic games such as Jet Force Gemini, now's your chance. Interestingly enough, thanks to the Rare Replay, there are now more Nintendo 64 games available on the Xbox One than on Nintendo's Wii U. This is simultaneously funny and sad.
It's been 2 years since we launched ID at Xbox right here at Gamescom because of our belief in the power of independent games.
Beyond Eyes, a video game in which you play as a blind little girl, received a surprise release during Gamescom. I had the privilege of speaking with Sharita Halato, the game's developer. You can check out our interview at blackmanandrobin.com right now. Another game released that day was Sheltered, which is available on the Xbox One's game preview program, which allows you to play a game before it's finished, kinda like Steam's early access. More games were announced for the game preview program, including Ark Survival Evolved, a fantastic multiplayer dinosaur survival game, it's very fun on PC, as well as the upcoming We Happy Few, a game set in a dystopian version of England in which you have to pretend to be on a drug that keeps you happy. It's kind of creepy and a bit reminiscent of BioShock meets Brave New World. Do you remember Cobalt? No, not COBOL, the programming language, but Cobalt, the co-op platformer in development by Mojang and Oxeye Game Studio that as good as vanished a while back? Well, it's still alive, and it's coming to the Xbox One and PC this October. Gameplay footage was shown off, and it looks hectic and fun. Cobalt is also being released on the Xbox 360, as well as on OS X. A first look at Dark Souls 3 was granted. It looks just as sad and as grim as ever, and it's coming sometime in 2016. A very well put together trailer for Homefront, The Revolution, was released. It's an open-world shooter set in an alternate universe in which North Korea has defeated the United States. In the game, you play as a guerrilla fighting back to retake the country. It's a bit of a surprise that Homefront, The Revolution is still coming out. The original Homefront was released some years ago by THQ, and as we all know, THQ kind of went under. Their IPs were purchased by different companies. Deep Silver is the company that acquired Homefront. Homefront, The Revolution is set to be released on the PlayStation 4, Xbox One, PC, Mac, and Linux. FIFA 16 was shown off, and then they unveiled a new Halo 5 map for esports. Esports are quite a big deal in the world of gaming, and it's unsurprising that more multiplayer games are being designed with esports in mind. The Halo World Championship will be taking place this winter. There is a $1 million prize pool, which is nice, but it's not quite as impressive as Dota 2's $18 million prize pool for the International this year. Finally, in Halo news, Microsoft announced that Halo Wars 2 was in development for both Xbox One and PC. The original Halo Wars debuted on the Xbox 360. Unlike the other Halo games, which are FPS, Halo Wars is a real-time strategy game. The game is being developed by Creative Assembly, the studio behind Total War, and it's coming out autumn of 2016. To take a quick break from this Gamescom stuff, let's take a look at the latest cover of Time magazine. They unveiled their latest cover featuring virtual reality guru Palmer Luckey, founder of Oculus VR, and it's kinda goofy. This led to much funny photo manipulation. Alright, it's time to get back to business. On Wednesday, Electronic Arts announced a ton of stuff, starting with some chatter about customization in the next Need for Speed. They invited players to go check out the @NeedForSpeed Twitter and vote on customizing a car. This custom car would then be built, which is pretty neat. Then they showed off some awkward-looking live action bits from the next Need for Speed game. They're supposed to be seamlessly tied into the game, but let's be honest, without good acting, it's not exactly seamless.
Dude's got some crazy videos. Gymkhana tubes have over 100 million hits. It's like watching an action movie, except it's real, you know?
Some gameplay footage from the hotly anticipated Mirror's Edge Catalyst was shown off. It's a game that I'm personally very excited for, as I loved the original Mirror's Edge. Catalyst is set before the first game, and it seems that some changes to Faith's backstory have been made. We have the details on that, along with a possible Easter egg that points to the original game in a post that you can read on blackmanandrobin.com. An unusual live-action trailer was released for The Sims 4, featuring people wreaking havoc upon one another. The Sims 4 Get-Together expansion pack was then unveiled, followed by what was possibly the most cringe-worthy moment at any press conference this year.
The Sims lets you rule. And you know what? I want to have my you rule moment right now. Let's turn this press conference into a party.
Remember Unravel, the cute platformer that was shown off during E3 this year? For Gamescom, EA showed off some more gameplay. The creator talked about the games having been inspired by his life in Sweden, both as a child and as a parent. Yarny still looks pretty adorable, in spite of having drowned at least once. If you're a fan of cute puzzle platformers, you'll definitely want to keep an eye on Unravel. It's set to come to the PlayStation 4, Xbox One, and PC sometime next year. In Unravel, you leave behind a trail of yarn, and you have to use this yarn to help you to solve puzzles. Star Wars Battlefront is coming, and it's bringing dogfights in the game's Fighter Squadron mode. EA showed off everybody's favorite Star Wars starfighters in Battle Above Sullust, the brand new planet previously announced for Battlefront. Also, we got a quick look at the playable Darth Vader. This new Star Wars Battlefront is set to be released on November 17th, 2015 for the PlayStation 4, Xbox One, and PC. After the Star Wars excitement was more footy with FIFA 16. Can you understand a thing these guys are saying?
Not at least. Look at Oscar's dribbling stats, 85. Stevie, 75. Emotion, take emotion out of it. Right, you haven't.
How can you not pick Steven Gerrard? He's got to be in the team. Greatest player for our club. His bias when it comes to Manchester United.
I can't understand what you're saying. Steven Gerrard's play. Yeah, I'm ready to do it back. Right, send forward, roll that one. Let's look at these in detail, analyse all the stats, make sure we get it right. I don't know if
If you are into FIFA, you should know that the Foot Draft mode is coming to the game, which will allow you to pick whatever players you want at the start of a match to create your own dream team, and preseason tournaments and player training are also coming to the game. FIFA 16 is coming out on September 22nd, 2015 for the PlayStation 4, PlayStation 3, Xbox 360, Xbox One, and PC. There are also going to be Android and iOS ports. While there was no Activision event, Call of Money, Duty, got its own press conference. The PlayStation 4 is now the new home of the franchise. Official tournaments for the game will take place on the PlayStation 4. The game is coming to the PS4, PS3, Xbox 360, and Xbox One on November 6, 2015. Blizzard, meanwhile, had a pair of events. The first took place on Monday when they unveiled the next World of Warcraft expansion. Goodness, these Activision properties have me saying funny things. Now, there's no word on when this expansion is coming out. For StarCraft 2, Blizzard announced the Allied Commanders mode for the upcoming Legacy of the Void campaign. In this mode, you get to enjoy co-op with other players, taking on challenges and leveling up your commanders. You've got Raynor, Kerrigan, and Artanis, and it sounds a little inspired by the current onslaught of MOBAs, which have taken a fair amount of sunshine from the once-beloved RTS. In RPG news from Gamescom, a new trailer has been unveiled for the French RPG Skylines. This gorgeously animated indie game is set to come out sometime next year. This is the first I've heard of Skylines, and I'm now looking forward to seeing more of the world. Skylines ran quite a successful Kickstarter campaign a while back, and it's currently in development by Enigami for Mac and PC. Also, there's an official manga if you're a nerd for lore and a fan of cool artwork. Last week, I missed the announcement for Araslan: The Warriors of Legend. It's an upcoming RPG in development by Koei Tecmo. The game is set in the universe of the heroic legend of Araslan, specifically taking after the most recent anime adaptation of the beloved tale. I've been watching the anime series and enjoying it. Hopefully the game is just as good as the show when it comes out early next year for the PlayStation 4, PlayStation 3, and Xbox One. Also, by way of confession, I've never played a Dynasty Warrior style game. Perhaps this can be my first? On another note, Lady Ferengis, a character in the show, is oddly absent from this trailer. Perhaps she'll be unveiled at a later date? Hi-Rez Studios, the developers of Smite, unveiled their next game at Gamescom. Called Paladins, this upcoming multiplayer fantasy FPS combines action with, believe it or not, deck building. Please forgive the quality of our footage as there's no official gameplay trailer available yet, as this is from the Gamescom stream of the game. Now in Paladins, your goal is to capture control points and destroy your opponent's base. Your deck of cards can be used for your own custom in-game power-ups. The game's set to be released to PC and consoles sometime next year. You can sign up for the game's beta at paladins.com. In other Gamescom MOBA news, the date for Gigantic's closed beta has been announced. It's set to happen on August 28, 2015 on the Xbox One and Windows 10. Gigantic, in case you've not heard of it, is a very stylish MOBA that I've had my eye on for quite some while. Stick with us for more coverage. Earlier this week, I caught wind of Rogue Invader. Currently in development by Squishy Games, Rogue Invader employs a 1-bit aesthetic in mimicry of games you'd see on the Apple II. It's not the only game to do so, as Curse of the Obra Dinn employs the same look to good effect. Rogue Invader, as you might have guessed, has some roguelike elements, and in the game, aliens have invaded the Earth. Humanity managed to beat them back, and after much fighting, they've reached their homeworld. Alas, humanity is near the end of its rope, and the counter-invasion has a single drop pod with which to fight the alien scum at their homeworld and stop the war once and for all. That's where you come in. Rogue Invader is set to be released on Steam for Mac, PC, and Linux. During Gamescom, Paradox held an event during which they showed off some of the stuff they'll be releasing soon. Excitingly enough, Cities Skylines will be getting the After Dark expansion. This brings a proper day and night cycle to the critically acclaimed city builder. It brings other elements to the game as well, including new traffic cycles to go with the day and night, an international airport, and much more. We have the full details over at blackmanandrobin.com. Personally, I'm a big fan of Cities Skylines. I used it to create an experiment with income inequality. You can watch that episode of the Blackman and Robin Irregular Game Show to see how that went. Additionally, we're giving away a $20 Steam gift card. Watch the episode for details. Also, if you're an Xbox One user, you should know that Cities Skylines will be coming to your platform. There's no word on when it's coming to other platforms, but Microsoft did say it would be coming to the Xbox first, thus implying that it may be coming to other consoles. Paradox also unveiled a brand new grand strategy game called Stellaris. Stellaris employs procedural generation to tell stories across the stars. Imagine if No Man's Sky were a grand strategy game. That's a rather rough way of describing Stellaris, but it's the general idea. There's a very good preview of the game over at Rock Paper Shotgun that I recommend taking a look at if it sounds like your sort of game. Essentially, though, if you're a fan of Asimov's Foundation, you'll want to take a look at this. We got a couple of new trailers for Final Fantasy XV. The first is kind of unusual. It's a minute of King Regis holding a little dozy Noctis and crying. I understand that the concept of the trailer is to demonstrate the game's heavy atmosphere and the gravity of the situation in Final Fantasy XV, and I enjoy melodrama and such, but this trailer seems to be overkill. What do you think? Give us your opinion on the trailer, and you could win a Steam key for The Stanley Parable, which is a very clever video game about storytelling in video games. It's rather fitting, all things considered. To tell us what you think, just leave a comment on our Instagram page or shoot us a tweet at BlackmanandRobin, and be sure to follow us. We'll feature our favorite tweets and comments on next week's episode. The best tweet or comment wins a Steam key. The other trailer is a gameplay trailer that shows Noctis fighting a Malbora, and getting absolutely wrecked. At least this shows off some gameplay. Final Fantasy XV has been in development for the last several years. It was originally Final Fantasy Versus 13, and was supposed to come out when Final Fantasy XIII was still relevant. It was announced during May of 2006, and it's coming out next year. That's right, folks. We've been waiting a full decade for this game. To put it in perspective, a child could have been born during the announcement and be old enough to play it once it's ready. If you happen to be at PAX Prime in a couple of weeks, you should know that Final Fantasy XV is going to be on display. Square Enix will be revealing new details about the game there in Seattle. A while ago, we showed you the Kickstarter for a game called Red Ash. Remember that? In development by Keiji Inafune, the game ambitiously combined an anime series with the rest of the game's story. Well, bad news. That Kickstarter failed, but the Chinese publisher Fuse picked it up anyway. Why do I bring this up? Because Mighty No. 9 has been delayed. Apparently the game's mostly finished, but it still needs some fine-tuning before it's released. Sometime during Q1 of 2016. Inafune said during the Red Ash Kickstarter that Mighty No. 9's development was affected by Red Ash. There are separate games working on each game, even though both games look an awful lot like Mega Man. Frankly, I'm a touch concerned that Inafune spread himself thin. Between these projects and the League War, he has a lot on his plate. I'd much rather see Mighty No. 9 come out well than to have that game and Red Ash released as fate. As for why the Red Ash failed, it's not surprising that it didn't do too well. To begin with, after watching the Kickstarter video, I still didn't have the very best idea of what the gameplay in Red Ash would be like. While gameplay for Red Ash was eventually released, it was too little too late. To make matters worse, people were a lot less willing to trust Inafune with their money, simply because Mighty No. 9 had not yet been released. Hopefully not speaking nonsense when I say this, but the thing with Kickstarter is that you are converting your social capital, that is, your reputation around the things that you make, into a sort of artistic credit. When people pledge to your Kickstarter, it could be said that they are spending your artistic credit, and so the more of this artistic credit is spent, the higher the expectations for whatever you have to deliver. If the thing that you deliver turns out well, and it turns out on time, if you deliver it at all, that is, then this debt that you've accrued from people spending your artistic credit, it's viewed as paid off in their eyes. Thus, more people are willing to give you a bit more credit for your next project. The thing with Red Ash, however, is that Inafune has hit his credit limit. Folks are probably less willing now to trust him considering the delay coming to Mighty No. 9. While the delay is most likely a good thing for the game, as more development time means more time to squish bugs, it's not good for his credit. Personally, I wish Mr. Inafune much success with both of his projects.
待たせたな。
Do you like the 80s? Do you like virtual reality? Well, dude, have I got the Kickstarter for you. Sorry, I had to do that. But I came across the Pixel Ripped Kickstarter, and it's a rather interesting game that takes you back to 1989. This looks way too wacky to pass up on. Check it out.
Ribeiro. Whatever. But your visa's been rejected. How would you kindly mind leaving the country without making a fuss? Next.
So here we are. We have been working remotely the last few days. But let's talk about the game.
Yeah. So Pixel Rip started its life as a student project, and man have we learned a lot since then. I know she'll learn. Oh. She's cut out again. This is happening all the time now, and it's kind of taking its toll on our sanity and schedule. But you know what, I'll just tell you what she was going to say. So we have 5 really awesome episodes planned, all based in different eras, using different gaming devices. They're going to be pretty epic.
Okay, so Pixel Rip 1989. We are building this game from the ground for you guys. It's going to be a longer, much more interesting experience. You're going to feel back in the 80s like never before. We can't wait to make this game.
Well, that's it for this week's game news. Be sure to follow at Blackman and Robin on Twitter for all the latest game news, reviews, previews, and interviews. Be sure to follow me at Jordan_Cameron for my other views. Also, be sure to check out our interviews with both Hannah Schaefer, developer of 14 Days, a board game about migraines, and our interview of Sharita Halato, developer of Beyond Eyes, a game about being a blind girl searching for her cat.